Hey everyone, and welcome. So, have you ever started a brand new project? You're staring at that empty folder, and you just think, okay, how am I actually supposed to organize all this code? If that sounds familiar, you are in the right place. We're going to demystify 3 of the most powerful code architecture patterns out there, so you can build with confidence, right from day one.
Let's start with something super simple. I'm talking about a basic login screen. Nothing fancy, maybe even hard code the username and password. Now, you might think, it's just one screen. Who cares? But how you structure the code for this one tiny feature, well, that sets the stage for your entire application. It's a perfect little sandbox for us to see these big, abstract architectural ideas come to life.
And yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to take this one login screen example and see how layered, feature-based, and clean architectures would each handle the exact same problem. By keeping our example this simple, the differences in their core philosophies, they just become so much clearer.
All right, first up, we've got the classic. This is the one most of us probably learned first, layered architecture. The best way to think about it is like a layer cake. It's really intuitive, super straightforward, and it's been a dependable standard for years. So let's slice into it.
So what makes layered architecture tick? Its defining feature is that it's organized into these horizontal slices. You'll almost always have a UI layer, a service or business logic layer, a domain layer, and an infrastructure layer. Information flows in a straight line, right down through the cake. This makes it really direct, with fewer abstractions to worry about. The trade-off, though, is that the layers can get pretty tightly coupled to each other.
And this shows that linear flow perfectly. A request kicks things off at the very top, in the UI. Then the UI calls a service, let's say an auth.service file, which has our hard-coded login logic. That service might then interact with a domain model, and finally, it could talk to an infrastructure layer, maybe to grab some data. See, it's a clear top-to-bottom path.
Okay, let's shift gears and look at our next pattern, the feature-based approach. This is a much more modern take, and the whole idea is to organize your code not by its technical role, but by what it actually does for the user.
This introduces a really cool concept called a vertical slice. So instead of those horizontal layers, you're now cutting vertically through your application feature by feature. Everything, and I mean everything, related to login lives together in one spot. The UI component, the logic, the data models, it's all right there. This is absolutely fantastic for teams that are organized by domain, where one team can own the entire authentication feature from top to bottom.
Just look at this contrast. It says it all, doesn't it? On the left, with the layered architecture, our login files are scattered all over the place. One in UI, one in services, another one in domain. It's like a scavenger hunt. But look at the right. The feature-based approach is so much cleaner. There's a single auth folder that has every single file related to authentication. Instantly, you know exactly where to go to work on login. No guesswork.
And now for our final pattern. This one's often seen as the peak of software engineering discipline, clean architecture. This isn't just about how you organize files. It's a whole philosophy for building really robust, scalable, and long-lasting systems.
The absolute core idea here is something called the dependency rule, and we can visualize it as these concentric circles. The very center, that innermost circle, that's your core domain, your business rules. And that core knows absolutely nothing about the outside world. It has no idea what database you're using, what framework, or what the UI looks like. All dependencies point inwards, which protects your most valuable code from external changes.
This quote from the source material is the ultimate sales pitch. Just think about that for a second. With clean architecture, your core business logic is totally independent. You could literally rip out your web framework, say swap Next.js for something totally different, and the domain, the heart and soul of your application, wouldn't need a single change. That is just incredibly powerful.
Okay, so we've looked at 3 very different, very powerful approaches. We've got the simple, direct, layered approach, the organized, modular, feature-based approach, and the super disciplined, robust, clean architecture. So the big question is, which one is actually right for you?
Well, let's put them head to head. There's really no single best answer because, everything in engineering is all about trade-offs. So let's break them down.
This table really lays it all out. Just notice the trade-off between complexity and scalability. Clean architecture, it gives you very high scalability, but you're paying for it with high complexity. Layered is the complete opposite. It's simple to get started with, but it doesn't scale nearly as well. Feature-based, you'll notice, strikes a really great balance right there in the middle. And that last row, ideal for teaching, I think it tells a great story. You usually start with layered, then you advance to feature-based, and eventually you master clean.
So what do the pros really do? In mature, corporate environments, the secret isn't about picking just one.
The most effective, powerful solution is actually a hybrid that combines the strengths of all three.
And honestly, this is the key takeaway of this whole explainer. The best practice in high-level engineering isn't about choosing one over the other. It's about a really smart synthesis that gives you the best of all worlds.
So how does that work? It's really a three-part strategy. First, you organize your code by feature, which gives you that clean, modular structure we liked. Second, within each of those features, you apply the principles of clean architecture. You keep your core logic completely isolated. And third, you still use the layered model, but more as a mental flow, a way of thinking about how data moves from the UI, through services, and down to your domain. It's organization, discipline, and clarity all rolled into one.
And that brings us to the end. We've seen the simple, the modern, and the ideal. We've seen how they stack up against each other, and more importantly, how the pros actually combine them in the real world. So the final question is for you. Now that you're armed with this knowledge, how are you going to structure your next project? Thanks for watching, and happy coding.